See this episode's show notes for our unique promo code to get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn when you sign up for a new account. Get your show on Apple and Spotify, get helpful stats, and all the support you need to sound your very best.
This is Jed MacKay, and you're listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast.
Hello there, Looney listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. I am your guest host tonight on a special edition of Sidekicks Revenge, Justin the Owl, and I'm joined for this episode by another special guest, Anthony from Capes on the Couch. How are you doing, Anthony?
I am doing great. It is wonderful to be here. It's been a very long time since I have graced the Into the Night podcast, and I'm glad to be back.
And you were on the last Sidekicks Revenge too, weren't you? When you were talking about Moon Knight artists, is that right?
Yes.
Nice. Yeah.
And so I said to Ray, I think we need to do this again. It's been a couple of years, and he was like, "Oh, right, yeah, let's do it. Sounds cracking."
And it is a great idea.
Yeah,
that was a couple of years ago.
And then I was like, "Oh, biscuits."
And Anthony and I might still be joined by a couple of other guests. We had a couple of other people that were going to join us, and they had some last minute things come up, but they still might come in and join us at any moment. So we'll see. But for now, we thought it would be a great idea to talk about some Moon Knight writers as a nice coin toss. It's the other side of the coin from the other episode. So Anthony, since it was your idea, why don't you lead us off and let us know who some of your favorite Moon Knight writers are and why?
Well, I think first we need to set the parameters here that we're only talking Moon Knight solo runs.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we're not going to get into West Coast Avengers. We're not going to get
Right.
into Secret Avengers.
Yes.
We're also
solo titles.
Yeah. We're not going to get into necessarily some of the one-offs either.
Right. Like the Black, White, and Blood as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The anthology stuff or things along those lines. I'm focused solely on the solo titles, starting with Moench and going all the way up to present day with MacKay.
Right. Volume 1 through 6 or 7 or whatever it is now.
Oh, I think we're up to 9.
Are we up to 9? Oh, God.
I guess it depends, 8 or 9, depending on whether you count Mark Spector Moon Knight as a separate run or like another variation. And then also, what do you do with the Bemis run? Do you count that because it was legacy?
Right.
So do you count that as a continuation of volume 1 or whatever?
Yeah,
Moench to MacKay is what we're focused on.
Moench to MacKay. Yeah, that works for me. I like the
Moench to
alliteration.
MacKay and other writers whose names don't necessarily start with M.
Yes.
So those are the parameters that I'm working on.
Yes.
And do we want to go? I guess the question is, I mean, we're kind of just spitballing it at this point. Do we want to go like a ranking system, or do we want to just say like, this is my favorite, and then I also like, and bandy back and forth?
We could do that, or we could do like a top 3, our top 3 favorites, and then go back and forth that way.
Okay, so let's do top 3 then.
Sure.
Everybody listening to this is going, you guys are talking and you don't know what the hell you're doing? Yes, that is correct.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
On my show, everything is kind of laid out in advance, and then we work within those parameters. Here, let's throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Yes, a lot of my shows are pretty chaotic, so I think that people who listen to a lot of my shows are like, oh yeah, that kind of tracks. Yeah, that sounds like Gamma Charge.
Fair enough. So I guess for me, if we're going to start with top 3, if we'll do it that way. My number 3 would have to be. See, it's tough because my number 1 is a clear. My number 2 is pretty solid. After that, things get a little murky. But I will go. Tough. Yeah, it is tough. For number 3, I will go Jeff Lemire.
Nice.
He will be my number 3. And I know some people are going to go, really? He's your number 3? Who do you have above him? But I really enjoyed how he took the entirety of the mythos and really was able to weave together a narrative that played on so many of the internal themes of Mark, Stephen, Jake, Moon Knight struggling with and against each other, while really trying to incorporate a lot of the early stuff that had been brought up, go back to the Moench run.
Yeah.
And then continuing on some of the themes that had been established over the past, say, 5-6 years, really with some of the Warren Ellis themes and things of that nature moving forward. And for me, those 12 issues just really tell a fantastic, cohesive story that pays a lot of homage and honor to the history of the character, continuing to move things forward. And at least for me, what I kind of respect and appreciate about it is not what I would say a title to jump into Moon Knight on. And I know that a lot of folks say, oh, start with the Lemire run. No.
No, don't. Yeah.
Don't start with the Lemire run, because half the time you're going to be going, what the hell is happening?
Right.
Wow, I don't understand any of it.
Yes.
Because there are callbacks and references to stuff that happened like 30 years prior. So you can't start with the Lemire run. And I respect that and appreciate it as a longtime fan. As Ray would say, I am an Omega level Moonie, as I'm recording this with a life-size cutout of Oscar Isaac appearing over my shoulder.
Which I love. I love that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to Pete at Rogue Comics in Cranford, New Jersey, for giving me that as a birthday present. But I really, like I said, appreciate the narrative and the way it wove everything together, because you could tell he really did his research and read everything and then said, I'm going to take all this and what can I make out of it? And on a side note, I really loved the run, and it was also incredibly infuriating for me, because if you listen to my guest spot that I did probably about 3 years ago at this point, 3-4 years ago, it's a long time ago, with Ray, where I talked about the Moon Knight movie that I had written and the script that I had come up with. A lot of the themes that I had done specifically with respect to KHONSHU being this otherworldly being that was using Mark as his avatar to help battle some of the other beings from this other dimension. That whole notion of the other void, or the over void, whatever it's called, I forget off the top of my head.
The other void, yeah.
The other void. All that stuff with KHONSHU was like Jeff Lemire broke into my house, read my script and my notes, and said, I'm going to take this, but do it better. And that was the really infuriating thing. I was getting those books monthly, and I was reading the floppies, and at least 3 different occasions, I had to put the book down and walk away for a couple of minutes to calm myself down, because I was so mad that he did my idea better than I did. So I was both like, I respect you, and I am so pissed.
Yeah, I want
that you're getting paid for this, and I'm not. But at the end, I'm still ranking him as my number 3 writer. So
I love that. I love that. And to be honest with you, Anthony, I felt the same way when I read that story. I was like, I wanted to write that. I really did. There were several moments where like, oh God, that's so gorgeous. I wanted.
And then the depth that he gave to the backstory with young Mark and everything, and the father. The only difference was in my version, I had Elias as this abusive alcoholic who traumatized Mark and beat him, and that is what led to the split in his psyche, which then led to the DID. Right.
Which would have made sense too when we go back way back to the first run, and there's that unforgettable moment when his dad's in the boxing ring with him, and Mark knocks him out in front of everybody. That would have made that scene made total sense.
Yes, and I incorporated that. At least some of the boxing stuff, I incorporated that into various versions of my script where Elias shows up to watch Mark boxing. And I kind of vacillated back and forth. In one version, Elias was this pacifist rabbi. In another one, he was an abusive alcoholic. And eventually I settled on the abusive alcoholic because I wanted to root the DID in something traumatizing from the childhood. But I also found it interesting that they took the abusive route, and then they gave it to the mother in the TV show.
Yes. Yeah.
Who we had like next to nothing about. The mother is, I don't want to say non-existent, but she's very, very limited in her appearances in the comics. Everything is about Elias. So I found it very interesting that they
at all in the comics, the mother.
Yeah. So I found it very interesting that they gave that storyline to the mother in the TV show. I have a host of notes about the TV show. The presence of Oscar Isaac notwithstanding, it's not my preferred Moon Knight, but I digress. But I've rambled on long enough, so I don't know if you have anything that you want to add about Lemire, or you want to give me your number three.
Well, my number three is the same pick, so we'll keep on. Jeff Lemire is my number three as well. It was tough because for me it was either going to be him or Warren Ellis, because I love the Warren Ellis issues so much. And still go back to those on a regular basis. But for me, it's the Jeff Lemire beats that out by a slight margin. And for all of the reasons that you mentioned and more, I think that, to be honest, it's the most important Moon Knight story that's ever been written, because it reveals so much about the character, and it's such a beautifully written story just from beginning to end. And it is a self-contained story. You don't necessarily have to read what comes before or after this. You can read this story as a self-contained one, and it's gorgeous. Also, like you said, you have to get to know the character first in order for this story to really hit you the way that it needs to. You have to kind of spend a few years with Mark Spector and get to know him, get to know his exploits, get to know his past, and then dive into this run after you've read some other stuff, because it will, the impact that it will give will be much stronger, I think, especially that scene where all of the alters are having that conversation at the end and they're embracing each other. I just love that. I love that issue so much. That's one of my favorite Moon Knight issues, period. I can't remember.
We are Moon Knight and we don't need you.
Right. That one. I just love that so much. It's really one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. And the artwork is wonderful. I mean, just from issue to issue, there was never a lull in the artwork where it seemed to suffer. It was all excellent from beginning of the story to the end. So yeah, for me, Jeff Lemire is definitely number three. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about that series. Like I said, I think it's the most important Moon Knight story that's been written about the character dealing with his personality.
Yeah. Now you mentioned the art. Now, the thing that I really liked about the art, and I think it was born of necessity, is the artwork switched depending on which character was the central piece. And that was my introduction to Francesco Francavilla.
Oh, yes.
Is otherworldly.
Amazing.
And is just absolutely phenomenal. And then I went and I read some of the stuff he did with, was it Sabrina? Was it Sabrina or Afterlife with Archie? I forget. It was one of those titles. He went and he did the artwork on that. I want to say it was Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Okay.
But like the dark, mature, satanic worshiping Sabrina that they turned into the TV show. But that was my introduction to Francesco Francavilla, and he did the Jake. He was the Jake artist on that.
Yes.
But I forget. I think it was Smallwood was the primary artist,
right?
Because he had worked on it under the Wood run.
Yes.
And then they brought him for Lemire, but then for whatever reason he couldn't do all 20 plus pages. So that's when it shifted and said, okay, now every time it shifts primary character, we're going to bring in a different artist. And so they split the workload, which I thought brilliant. Just elevated it.
Yes.
So, what's that expression? Limitations breed, is the limitations are the father of creativity or whatever the situation is, because Smallwood could no longer do the 20 plus pages. You had to bring in these other artists, and it just gave this whole other feel. And now there's a visual shift coming along with the storyline shift, and it just hammers that point home that much more. And you're like, oh shit, things are really going down, because now we're switching back and forth and back and forth.
Yes. And for any other title that might not work, the shift in artists. Like Phil and I were reviewing that terrible Avengers story from the 90s, The Crossing. I don't know if you remember that abomination, but
I don't recall that I've read that one.
It was terrible, but one of the reasons it was so bad was because the art was so inconsistent. From issue to issue, you'd have 2 or 3 different artists on each issue, and their styles were very different. It was very jarring, but there was no break in the story to justify having a different artist. In this, it does make complete sense to have a different artist do these different scenes for what's going on in the story.
Yeah, if you're going to have a break in the story, or, you're going to have like a flashback, or things are happening in alternate timelines, and you want to use a different artist to demonstrate that
right.
makes logical sense.
Definitely.
This, that what you're describing doesn't, but it works here with this Moon Knight story.
Absolutely.
So I thoroughly do appreciate that. So since we're on the same page for number 3, shall we do number 2?
Move on to number 2. Yeah.
So number 2 is Huston.
Nice. Okay.
The bottom is my second favorite Moon Knight story of all time. And you were saying how the Lemire run is, in your opinion, the most important Moon Knight story. I think the bottom is, at least in terms of historical callback, so to speak, and its place in renovating and reestablishing Moon Knight as a character and thematically moving forward, because I would argue you can really draw a line, almost like a family tree, that everything that we've established about Moon Knight over the past 20 years, and it is really close to 20 years at this point, can be traced back to that Charlie Huston, David Finch run, those first 6 issues in particular, because of everything that the reestablishment of Moon Knight was and had to go through. That I really just think that without the Huston run, you don't get so many of the current Moon Knight stories now. And that, like I said, from a linear standpoint, maybe not necessarily linear, but at least thematically and culturally and within the Marvel universe, everything that Moon Knight has gone through over the past close to 20 years is because of that Huston Finch run. And so that's why I think it's the quote unquote most important Moon Knight story there is, because it really reestablishes Moon Knight, on an in-universe level and on a meta level. that ever since then, Moon Knight has been a consistent B level guy, and it can all be traced back to that run.
Right. Hi there, Chad. We're joined by the power of Chad has joined us. How are you, Chad?
Doing fine. How about you?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about our favorite Moon Knight writers, Chad.
Yeah.
And Anthony has just given his second pick, which is
so
Huston.
we're doing top 3.
Yeah.
So if we both selected Jeff Lemire as our number 3. So if you want to go ahead and maybe back to back to catch up, give us your 3 and then your 2. Or if you want Justin to go ahead and give his number 2 while you ruminate as you sit there and stroke your manly beard of manliness.
That's like depression beard. It's not manly. It's
it's manlier than anything I've got or could grow. So I will call it the manly beard of manliness.
Yeah, I could never grow that.
Yeah, go ahead and rattle off your number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Anthony, that was what you described. It definitely makes sense as that being the most important Moon Knight story, because it is really Moon Knight at his worst. It's at his lowest point ever, and
that's
so
why
much
it's called the
dark,
bottom.
Exactly, so much dark stuff
from the bottom. Now we here.
Yeah, he's alienated everybody around him. Like, he's completely alone. He's broken physically, mentally, emotionally. He's being spiritually. He's being tormented by KHONSHU, harassed, and it's definitely the darkest Moon Knight story as well, I think, out of all of them. And that's saying a lot, because there's been quite a few dark Moon Knight stories over the years.
There definitely have been some dark stories.
But the whole carving off the face has to take the cake.
Yep. I did manage to work that into the script as well. Into my script, because I was working with the theme of masks and who you are underneath the mask and the removal of masks. And so at the end, I had Mark carve off Bushman's face, not just for the badass aesthetic, but it tied into the notion of, I'm going to take your mask off and show you for who you really are, and carve off the Death's head.
Yeah.
So really, really powerful thematic stuff. And that's really where we also are introduced to KHONSHU as kind of the troll that he's been operating as over the past umpteen years. So again, another thing that's been brought forward as a result of the Huston run. So
you never really see KHONSHU as much of an antagonist as you do starting with that series.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, my number 2 pick is actually Doug Moench, the big guy. Yeah, I love that original series so much. That was kind of what made me fall in love with the character. And yeah, even though there's some stuff that hasn't aged well, especially some of those early stories, some of the dialogue and some of the tropes haven't aged well. And my God, that man could get wordy. Holy shit. There's some of those issues that it's just like, Jesus, will the editor please step in here with a butcher knife? Poor Bill Sienkiewicz can't even get a word in edgewise. Like, it's all like dialogue boxes and stuff. Like, even despite that, and despite some of the other things that crop up in some of Doug Moench's other writing, I still love it. I love, like in the Moon King, some of the little witty things he did, like with this no smoking sign turning into the Moon Kings. Just some of the other little witty wordplay things that he used to do always tickled me. And as like a comic book fan of a certain vintage, it's a style of comic book writing that isn't really seen anymore. So when I read some Doug Moench script, it kind of makes me wistful for the old days. It makes me a little sentimental. So that's another thing that I get out of it too, on a personal level. It's like, oh yeah, they don't really write them like this anymore. But yeah,
I can
great.
Respect and appreciate that. Yeah.
But he's great. Yeah, I love Doug Moench very much.
And I mean, without him, we wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Those street level stories, I think, to your point about, some of the discussion of like, they don't write them like this anymore. In a lot of cases, they don't write Moon Knight like that anymore.
Right.
I think MacKay has really gotten back to some of the street level stuff as of late.
Yes.
But there was a long time when, Mark was doing anything but street level. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, but can't he fight just some regular ass people?
Yeah.
Vengeance of the Moon Knight.
Cough, cough.
Just surfing buses, just dual automatic weapons, just Michael Bay write this shit.
Ted, did you want to add your picks?
Yeah, so
yeah, I got to thinking about it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go with Moench being 3.
All right. Nothing
and
wrong with
Lemire
that.
being 2.
Okay. So the same picks as me, just flip-flopped. I like that.
All right.
Very cool.
Okay. Any reason you want to care to elaborate on with either of the picks?
With Jeff Lemire, I really dig all the psychedelics that go on throughout the storytelling. Like, everything's very abstract and taken as story value, not so much as what's literally happening. And I don't know, that kind of Wonderland topia is really appealing to me. So it's not exactly like it's an amazing feat. They're not like hardcore like writers tropes or anything like that. It's just like, no, it's just appealing to me. I like that shit. And then with Moench being in 3rd, I really enjoy his style. It's very based in reality, contrary to my other tastes, but at the same time, I don't know, just something about getting all dirty and gritty and like being on the street. It's like it's got a simplistic beauty to it. Yeah,
I like that.
Okay.
Nice. And I forgot to mention too about the Jeff Lemire run that had some of the best covers of any Moon Knight run. I remember there was one that I had to get as a T-shirt because I loved it so much. It was just the one of Mark's face, but it had like a triangle around, and the bird head was the skull was in the background. It was so cool. I was like, I've got to get that as a T-shirt.
Yeah, it's got that weird synthwave aesthetic to it. It's pretty cool.
So good. Yeah, well, Anthony, did you want to give your number 1 pick, your favorite?
Well, I was going to say before we do number 1.
Or do we have any honorable mentions?
That's what I was just about to say. Do we have honorable mentions?
Yes.
And so my honorable mentions, I'll give 2 honorable mentions. One is to Moench as just, again, the creator of all of this, the godfather, the father of Moon Knight. And the other one is Warren Ellis. Only 6 issues. The reason why he gets honorable mention is because they are great issues, but they're so, it's just they're one shots. And there's, aside from the stuff in issue 6 that kind of ties back to some of the stuff that we see in the first one, there's really not much of a narrative arc for Moon Knight. And so that is one of the things that, I just say it's an honorable mention for me. Still really great stuff. And the issue 4, everybody raves about, the fighting his way up through the entirety of the building, doing the raid, is just absolutely amazing. Loved it when I read it. And I loved the revamp of the suit. I cosplayed as the Declan Shalvey Moon Knight. I got to meet Declan in costume.
And twisted.
Take a picture with him. Yep. He
so
pretended
cool.
to break my wrist, or I pretended to break his wrist. Yep. So all good stuff. And also, I'm not going to get into everything else about Warren Ellis as a man. Not going to touch that one with a 39.5-foot pole.
No.
So I will just say that, but the writing extrapolated from all of that was absolutely fantastic. So he's up there as an honorable mention.
Very nice. Chad, do you have any honorable mentions for writers?
Honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Bemis as my.
Oh, okay.
Mention. I was not into the Bemis run when I was reading it, but after it was completed, after I wasn't like waiting for the next week for the next one to come out and to get disappointed over and over again. But as like reading through the complete collection of the Bemis run, you kind of fill in the blanks where there are essentially places that were whited out, where obviously there was some kind of dissonance, and it just like staples the spine back together.
Interesting. That's cool. Yeah. My honorable mention is actually Alan Zulentz.
Okay.
Because he picked up where Doug Moench left off, and I will defend him in saying that if it weren't for Alan Zulentz, we might not have a Moon Knight today, because that might have been it. Like after Doug Moench left, that title could have tanked, and well, it did tank. Admittedly, but it could have tanked worse than it did, and the character could have faded into obscurity, and that could have been the end of it. But they decided to keep it going with Fist of Khonshu, and that series gets a lot of stick as well. But I'll also defend that because it kept Moon Knight on the map for a while, and it did a reinvention of the character. It tried something different, which obviously didn't work. It didn't stick. But some of those stories are really well, like that story with Anubis, that first issue of Fist of Khonshu. I love that. That's great. It goes back to the origin of Moon Knight when he first got acquainted with the Khonshu statue, and it has an Egyptian-themed villain. It's a great pulpy little story. Yeah, I love Alan Zulent's stuff, and he's written some other non-Moon Knight stuff, which is really good too. People should check out. But yeah, he's my honorable mention for Moon Knight writers. Yeah.
Okay.
So who's going to go for number one?
You want to go, Chad?
Sure.
Yeah. Who's your favorite?
I'm just going to say it, MacKay.
Nice.
He hits all those marks that I like. It's pulpy, it's gritty, it's got a lot of really psychedelic shit, like the pocket dimensions and all that stuff with Scarlet. Oh man, that was
cool. I love that issue. That was one of my favorites.
I just feel like he does an amazing job at bringing in all these like classic things from Moon Knight, like way in the past, things that people that are in the podcast don't remember. All of a sudden, holy shit! But just the way that he puts it together with his like both sides of his art team, they're just it's like you can't really grasp how you would personally think of this stuff, but just bring in the menagerie together, it's amazing. That's why he's my favorite. It's
nice.
All that.
Very nice, Chad. Good choice. I like that. Anthony?
Yeah. Can I retroactively add MacKay to my honorable mentions? He's rocketing his way up the list.
Yeah.
He really, truly is. And I think at the end of it, I don't know how much longer we're going to get him writing it, because they seem to be tapping him for all this other stuff. He's taken over Avengers now, and Strange and so on. I don't know where he has time to breathe. So, but I hope he continues. Because I love this whole team. The whole team. I want everybody on this book forever. I want them to beat Bendis and Bagley for the longest, team on a run, and I want it to be Moon Knight. Goddammit! But I digress. I just want to say that MacKay, all respect to MacKay, my favorite Moon Knight writer, and this should come as no surprise to anybody who listened to the Artists episode, is JMD Matteis, because he wrote Scarlet Redemption, which is my all-time absolute number one, top of the list, with a bullet and 50 feet between it and everything else. Subsequent all-time favorite Moon Knight story. It is amazing. It is so well crafted, and it can never be done in any other medium other than comic books, because the way it is framed and set up. Ron Garney's artwork is
Ron Garney's
flawless. That the story is just absolutely beautiful, and I love that they continued to reference MacKay, referencing Scarlet again. I was like, yes, just inject it right into my veins right here. I'll get the tourniquet. I'll get the tourniquet right here. I'll just
you mainline it.
Just stick it right in there. Give me more. Give me all of it. I want more Scarlet. I want the sequel to Redemption, and I want MacKay and Cappuccio and everybody to do it.
Yes.
And I want the follow-up, but that story just goddamn, and it's only those 5 issues. That's it. That's his only work on Moon Knight. And I met the man, and he's like, I have done so many other things, and he said that was just kind of like, I'll do this little story here. And he said, I continue to get folks who talk to me years later about this story. He said, so I really appreciate that I did something that resonated with people, but he didn't intend to, but he went out and he wrote the best goddamn Moon Knight story that's ever been written. And so for that reason, he's my number one.
Nice.
It's like that meme, just like, comes in, does an amazing thing, doesn't respond, leaves.
Yep. Comes in, wipes the floor with every other Moon Knight writer before or since, and just goes off and does his thing.
Yeah.
And he's still he's still writing to this day. He's still working on stuff.
Some amazing stuff.
But yeah, I just, like I said, I gave Ron Garney the number one slot in the Artist because of his work on Scarlet Redemption. So it's no surprise that I give JMD Matteis the same spot in the writers.
I wish that both of them had worked on Mark Spector Moon Knight for longer. They were a great team together, I felt.
Garney and Garney's another guy, continues to do fantastic work. Absolutely. His work on Daredevil with under the Charles Soule run was phenomenal. So
I remember his stuff in the 90s. Ghost Rider too was really good. I love Ron Garney.
Except for the feet proportions.
Oh, the feet.
The feet in Ghost Rider, like the size of the boots were just like terrible.
Oh, they did get big for a while, didn't they? Yeah.
Massively disproportionate. It's like, how do you expect to run? Like, how are you going to chase evil and clodhoppers from hell?
Well, that's why he had that long chain, so he didn't have to chase them. He could just snake the chain around them and drag them.
Through the dark dimension, he stole all the dimensions, all the mass and the matter from the feet that Liefeld wasn't drawing, and it got tacked on to Ghost Rider. So the smaller X-Force's feet got, the bigger Ghost Rider's got, because it had to balance out.
That's right.
Jesus Christ.
You got Cable running around on, on point ballerina feet, and then you've got, Ghost Rider running around in size 32s. It all comes out in the wash.
Pavement.
It all evens out, right? Right?
Absolutely. There has to be a balance. It has to be.
Perfectly balanced, as all
in the grand
be.
calculus of the multiverse.
Right? The Living Tribunal probably had a hand in that.
Or foot.
Yeah. My number one pick is also Jed MacKay. I feel that he really gets Moon Knight on a deep fundamental level. and the guy really knows how to do his homework. Like all of these deep cuts, like in this last issue, I don't think anybody was ever expecting to see a return of Sarnak, the villain that appeared in 2 issues of Werewolf by Night 50 years ago. But here we have this issue where the guys, the characters are just going out to this club dancing, and all of a sudden Sarnak appears out of nowhere, puts this record on, and sends everybody into a frothing frenzy, into a murderous rage. I loved it so much, and every issue that Jed writes, I'm consistently surprised and impressed at his ability to juggle the elements from the past of Moon Knight, bring them to the future, but also make them fresh and exciting and contemporary. Also, reestablishing his relationship with Tigra was extremely important to me, being a fan of the old West Coast Avengers run, and being of the camp that was unwilling to write that chapter of his life off, like a lot of people have. No, I mean, he was with the West Coast Avengers for like 2 or 3 years. You can't just ignore that happened. And Tigra, like, has been his only other romance besides Marlene and that other girl that we know of in like 50 years. Like, so yeah, I'm glad that MacKay went back and brought Tigra back into the fold, because he doesn't need to have a romantic interest, but he does need to have somebody there as an emotional counterbalance. And I feel that Tigra serves that role really well. I was so pleased that he brought her back. And also the new characters that he's provided us with, Reese and Soldier, and some of the other people. It's wonderful. The callbacks to the past with the Shadow Cabinet, addressing that. I mean, whoever thought that anybody would ever discuss the Shadow Cabinet again? But he did. Who would ever thought that anybody would ever have another story with I can't remember his name, the villain there, the big guy, the Grand Ambassador, what's his face?
Oh, Commodore.
Yes.
Planet.
Commodore Donny Planet. Yes, thank you, Chad. Who would have ever thought we'd see him again? So it's these deep cuts and these callbacks to the past, and also beautiful, poignant issues like the Scarlet one. I mean, I went back and I read that issue several times after reading it the first time, not only because of the gorgeous, breathtaking artwork, but because the story itself was so beautifully written. And especially the dialogue between Scarlet and KHONSHU. I mean, it's fucking fantastic. I love the Jed MacKay run, and I will sing its praises all day, night long. So yeah, I would say he's my favorite. He gets Moon Knight on a fundamental level. He understands the character, and I trust him implicitly to write excellent stories for Moon Knight. I like you, Anthony. I hope that he stays on this title for years. It would be exceptional to see this go on as long as possible. Like, let's see it get to issue 50. I mean, come on, we can do it. We've got a great team here. Let's see it happen.
Yeah. Again, the artwork. I mean, it's not just MacKay. It's the artwork is absolutely fantastic. Cappuccio's pencils, and
the colors.
Rosenberg. Her colors are
fantastic,
astonishing. I'm amazed. She finds time to do that between lifting weights and bodybuilding and all the stuff that she does. But she manages to. I think that's maybe why she does it, so she can squeeze the colors in, just that much tighter. She really just squeeze the shit out of those pens or paints or whatever it is that she does to make those colors just absolutely pop. But the aesthetic on this, these stories is just phenomenal, and I love the light and how there always seems to be this light emanating from him.
Yeah, it's like a glow. Yeah,
it's a glow. Yeah. It's ethereal, and the motion. And again, that's a combination of Cappuccio's inks and pencils, and then Rosenberg's colors. Just I don't know. Have we had a consistent team where it's like writer and artists do this many consecutive issues.
Not in a while.
Not
It's
for
been
Moon Knight.
years.
Yeah, for Moon Knight, I'm talking about. You know, obviously I know other characters, but
yeah, the mentioned Sienkiewicz duo lasted. What was it? 27 issue up to 27, 28 of the original series, I think.
I think it's 29. 9 seems to ring in there for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
well, I'm seeing for 24, Federico Sabatini does pencils for that one. So
and he filled in a couple of times, I think, didn't he? He did maybe 1 or 2 issues in the past.
Okay, but in any case, I just hope that consistently they stay together. The three of them working cohesively as a unit for a very, very long time.
Yeah, they do great work together. I definitely second that. Yeah. Well, cool, guys. That was a great little chat.
Yeah.
And Chad, you also had an idea that you wanted to bring up about the MacKay run. Run that by us again.
I kind of had the idea that we should summarize and just highlight things that have gone on in the MacKay run so far that have been really cool to us, and a play-by-play of all the best points in the MacKay run as it's nearing almost 25, and you know that's kind of big for Moon Knight.
It's a big milestone. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah, no, that's a great idea, Chad. Do you want to lead us off with some of your favorite moments from the run?
I would love to, actually. I read them all yesterday and today.
Oh, nice. Binge it.
We're just mainlining and binging out here.
Yeah. Love it.
But honestly, Waxman, that entire issue was so good.
Yeah, wasn't that good? Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, this is getting bad. And just everyone around Mark are we doing this? Are we killing a person?
They're staring at him with their jaws open. Yeah.
God. And of course, as things progressed, things fluctuated, got a little bit softer with Tigra and actually rekindling things with Mark. It's man, Mark has a heart again. What the fuck?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Hasn't happened at all in the previous issues leading up to this, but 20 hit, and then 21 and 22, and it's just wow. I guess he's not going to keep up that charade anymore. And what is with Mark constantly dunking on 8-Ball?
It's just funny.
I think just because he's there.
8-Ball,
he's there and he's called 8-Ball. So
8-Ball just hanging out on the corner. Looks like a great time to ruin his day.
Yeah. Well, it's great. I think 8-Ball's hysterical.
8-Ball sees Moon Knight coming. Oh, fuck.
Well, shit, not again.
Not again. Come on, man.
Have you seen that movie Snap from Guy Ritchie?
No.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while, but yes. Yeah.
So Bullet Tooth Tony has this one character he just comes across and just ruins his day. Just pulls him into a car by his tie, makes him run alongside the car, just extorts money out of him. Or not money, information. And it's just so crushing because, there's nothing this guy can do about it. That's how I see this dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah, 8-Ball's such a sad sack. You can't help but feel sorry for him. And it's so funny because I remember his first appearance 30 years ago when he first appeared in Sleepwalker #2. I thought, this villain's never going to go anywhere. He's going to appear maybe a couple of times and then we'll never see him again. And then he's appearing in Moon Knight regularly almost.
The only person I could see him going up against functionally is Gambit. And that's the power dynamics.
Right. They could play a main game of pool.
Right.
Yeah, come on, mon ami.
Let's
dance, mon frere.
Well, it's great because back in Sleepwalker days, he actually used a pool cue.
Yes, he did.
The Remy LeBeau staff and the pool cue, it'd be great.
It'd be fantastic. I love that, Chad.
So,
was there anything else you wanted to mention from the MacKay run? Any other favorite moments?
well, I'm kind of like a hobbyist on stained glass. So the Scarlet issue was just like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's a lot. Like, can't tell you how often I've forgotten to use my gloves, shattering.
Oh.
Just like, oh, this is going to be a straight cut. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yikes.
Nope.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah. So, the tidal wave of glass was kind of terrifying.
You could feel all that glass cascading over. Yeah. It's such a cool image. It's so cool.
How about you, Anthony?
So I didn't come prepared to talk the MacKay run. And so I'm not as refreshed on it as you are. I was going to say one of my favorite things was, threatening to fuck up 8-Ball and, dangling him over the
car grinder.
The car grinder. He's like, oh, if I wanted to kill him, I wouldn't have started with his feet. Kind of deal. And I was just like, oh shit, because Mark gets in some really sick and twisted threats and ways to hurt people. One of my all-time favorite threats that he made, I want to say it was in a Secret Avenger, or no, I'm sorry, it was Heroes for Hire. It was in a Heroes for Hire. He says, I will break every bone in your body in alphabetical order. And I was like, God damn, that's horrific.
And he could do it. The thing is that makes it so scary is that he could actually do it.
Exactly. That's why it works, because he's just fucked up enough that he would try it. He's like, well, you want to find out? Go ahead and fuck around.
Exactly.
So there, there's that. I have not yet read the most current issue. What's it? 23 or 22, whatever one that
22.
Just came out.
I haven't read that either. That's in the mail on its way to me now.
It's sitting at my local comic shop. I did not get a chance to go by on Wednesday to grab it. I will have to go by this Wednesday and pick it up.
Nice.
So I haven't gotten there yet, but I really just like the establishment, and I think Justin, you were the one who referenced, just the new characters that he created, Reese and Soldier, and this establishment of everything else. The surrounding cast of characters.
Using the Midnight Mission, that
exactly, all the
house.
Midnight Mission, and then Hunter's Moon, I think is probably one of the strongest additions to the mythos of Moon Knight and KHONSHU that we've seen in a very, very long time. Yeah. And I love how Mark plays off of Dr. Badir so well that the two of them, very, very similar in so many ways, and that then polar opposites. And I just love how he came in and schooled Mark on just who and what KHONSHU was. And, did you think a god only had one fist kind of deal? Like, I was just like, holy, like, oh, that line is just so perfect. And then becoming this ally to Moon Knight. And then, I mean, speaking of cool moments, just bringing forth all of the prior fists of KHONSHU that Hunter's Moon calls in to save Moon Knight's ass. Just bringing everybody's like these, you know, they've all been, you know, like seeking redemption, whatever. I forget all the context of it, but he brings them all in, and it's just like, oh, shit's about to go down now, because now you've got like 30 Moon Knights.
Undead Moon Knights.
Undead Moon Knights. Yeah. Because what's his name went? Who is it? It was Zodiac. Yeah. Right. That was it. When he's like, you know, he got so petty and annoyed, and he's like, God damn it, why are you never you're not supposed to be here? How'd you get here that fast? Like, I set everything up. Like, no, you're not supposed to do this. This isn't supposed to be happening. And he just, that whole thing was just so flawlessly executed. So all full credit to MacKay, and again to Cappuccio and Rosenberg for the artistic interpretations of all of that. It's good shit all around. So many, just again, so many great runs. Now I want to go back and reread them. Nice. God damn it.
Another thing to read.
Well, it's not necessarily even just another thing to read. It's another thing that, you know, I have to do now, because my executive dysfunction is going to kick in and say, never mind all the stuff that I have to do. My ADHD requires that I'm going to go ahead and read 20 issues of a comic book at, you know, 9:30 on a Sunday night, because this is what's going to happen. So fuck you, Chad. Thank you for fucking up the rest of my evening and making me already more sleep deprived than I already am. God damn it. I'm going to be sitting here by like issue 7. Well, God damn it.
3 in the morning. Oh, God, I got to sleep.
3 in the morning, bleeding from my eyes. Well, it's all done. Thanks, Chad. Now I can't go to work in the morning. I've got a migraine. I've lost 4 pounds because I haven't eaten.
Wet.
Yeah. Thanks, Chad. Jackass. I'm just playing. It's all love. It's all love and appreciation.
Feel the love. We can feel the love in the room.
One thing I forgot to mention on my highlights is Dr. Sturman.
Oh yeah.
We need some Dr. Sturman appreciation.
Absolutely.
That's really pivotal for Mark's development in this room. Because obviously he would just be smearing people into grease paste, until he felt that, but that's not working.
Yes, he needs to have a professional to talk to. This is important. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's good. Yeah,
and
some
since,
of my favorite
my co-host, Doc Issues, who is a licensed board certified psychiatrist, he's not available, unfortunately, to analyze and discuss things with Mark. Hopefully Dr. Sturman can handle him in our absence.
Well, she's Avengers certified, so
yes,
that has to count for something. Yes, a lot of my favorite moments are the ones that you guys already mentioned, but I love the issue that I think it was just Hunter's Moon. It was during the Devil's Reign crossover, when Mark was in prison, and it was just it was a solo spotlight on Hunter's Moon. I can't remember which issue number that was exactly, but I really enjoyed that one a lot. And yeah, just the fact that we have a little bit more talk about the other Fists of KHONSHU over the years, like in issue 20, there was that backup story with Blade, and we had the other Fist of KHONSHU there. I forget.
Retro
Blade. Yeah, I forget what her name.
Green shades, afro. Leather jacket.
Leather jacket. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't remember. Do you remember what her name was, Chad?
I don't think there was a name.
Oh,
you remembered her as was a righteous fist.
Oh, okay. Maybe she wasn't named specifically, but I love that little backup story. I thought that was great, and I thought, oh, cool. I mean, we're gonna see other Fists of KHONSHU now. I like this because it makes sense, obviously, that there would be others over the years. It's cool. I love that, and that issue with Commodore Donny Planet was fantastic.
Just
I
over
love
the
it.
top Irish accent, though.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole issue with the Midnight Mission, I was not expecting that. That was definitely a surprise.
God.
Yeah, I was never expecting to see that crazy haunted house again.
I had never seen it before, so it was like, oh, why are we in H.H. Holmes' place? This ain't good.
Yeah. Things escalated quickly all of a sudden. Yeah. But yes,
Boy,
such a
things
great
got out of hand. Rick killed a guy. I stabbed a man through the heart.
With a
Yeah, Mark, you should probably go lay low maybe for a while. Maybe go out of town, find some family.
Yeah.
Wait until this all blows over.
Yeah. Remember when he went south for a while? Yeah, time to do that again.
Go battle some lucha libres.
Yes.
I think Punisher's a little bit busy, though. You know, leading a demon cult of murderers.
Is he still a ninja? Is he still a demon ninja?
I don't know what weeb bullshit is going on anymore.
Oh.
For sure.
Okay. Okay. The last I heard that Punisher was a ninja, all of a sudden he was leading the hand, right? Or was that Daredevil?
Yep. No, you heard correctly.
That was Punisher? Okay.
Punisher's also
my.
hurt that, you know, Mark is now on good terms relatively with KHONSHU, and that he's doing all these wonderful, horrible acts of violence without him. Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to just get a room.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They need to just stop beating around the bush and do it.
Just fucking get it over with.
Yeah. We all know what's going to happen.
The bromance just has to escalate to a point, and then done.
Yeah. Just get it out of your system, and then you can move on.
Oh boy.
We don't have any sort of oversight here. There's no Ray.
That's right.
No one.
No Ray, no Rebecca. No, yeah.
There's no other hand on the
KHONSHU
wheel.
are not in the building.
Neither hand of KHONSHU is on the wheel. We are.
That's right.
None of the high priests and priestesses are present, and we're fucking up the church. Ray's going to come back to the next year and be like, right, what's this then?
Honestly, it couldn't have been as bad as when people started watching the last Let's Get Sheep-Faced with Ray and I.
The live stream.
God, that was so bad. I was taking shots of Kraken.
Oh no, Kraken. Oh.
I love Kraken, don't get me wrong, but like I had a gallon of Kraken and Ray was, I think, alternating between whiskey and I don't know, I think just regular scotch.
Oh.
Yeah. It was bad.
I don't even know what Kraken is, but it doesn't sound good.
It's a black rum, and it's sweet, but it's very toxic, I guess.
It's poison. It's legal poison.
Oh, okay. That sounds yummy.
Yeah.
Oh
It'll
boy.
put hair in your chest in places you don't want it to.
I've already got plenty of that. Thank you.
Yes, come back black. So there's that.
Release the Kraken.
Well, it's a trademarked deep black color that has like zero opacity. It's just
Oh,
It's just ink.
okay.
That doesn't sound very healthy.
Venomous squid ink. Yummy.
Yummy. See, it's funny because I prefer to drink the exact opposite. I prefer to drink vodka that is absolutely see-through.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's good too. That's what Mark. Ice cold vodka.
Yeah, I like a good glass of vodka with something. Yeah. Every so often.
Give me some Vesica. I forget how you pronounce it. It's Polish potato vodka.
Oh yeah.
It is smooth like butter.
Yeah,
You need
I think of
nothing, just ice cubes. I have to, put a little something in the vodka just to give it a little bit of flavor. That stuff, no, I drink it straight.
Yeah.
On the rocks.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, I think I've had a variation of that. It was some Polish concoction called krupka, I think, or something like that.
Was that the lemongrass stuff?
I think it had lemon or something in it. Yeah, it was definitely fragrant. I can't remember what it was called, but it was very good.
I have a friend who drinks some kind of, Middle European like potato like liquor, and there's always lemon involved in everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, is this like a common thing? Yeah, apparently it was. Things
I have a little bit of flavor in there.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of excited though. Kraken, who's only done the darker liquors, is now moving on to gold.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, I'm wondering if they know how to do gold rum.
I might have to try that once they roll that out.
Yeah.
I like my rums too, but not too dark. not ink dark. Let's put it that way. I'll look at that glass and think that I'm drinking gasoline or something.
Well, gasoline's kind of a golden color.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yeah. So is piss, but I wouldn't really try down in that.
Well, piss is closer to being like a Pilsner color.
I don't have to drink my urine, but I do because it's sterile. And I like the taste.
Well, I'm drinking an Imperial IPA, so it's a little bit different than a Pilsner.
Imperial. Distinguished.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to drink piss, just drink, a light beer.
Right. Exactly.
I haven't had light beer probably like 2 years. It's been a long time. I just
Milwaukee's best.
Right. Thank you, Kiss.
Gotta love the beast.
Thank you, Kiss. It's the first time that sentence has ever been uttered in the English language.
What was it? 2 nights ago, Gene Simmons decided to take a chair instead of trying to perform.
I saw that. Yeah, he was having a rough time on stage.
Well, he's in all that leather in 90-degree heat. Not what you expect at 73 years old.
Absolutely. 73, my God. Oh.
Yeah. Although on the other, Jerry Only at the Misfits can still do his knee slides across the stage, so it's like
true. And look at what Iggy Pop's still doing. So yeah,
Iggy Pop is not a mortal creature.
That's true.
Hey, Big Daddy Kane, I saw him a couple years ago, and that man was doing all kinds of hip hop routines. And
he was.
He was doing the splits he was getting down with his dancers. He did the thing where he jumps on, he gets a lift from one of his dancers, and they flip him over, and he does like a backflip and lands in the splits, and he jumps up, and oh no.
That's fantastic.
Woman up, Kane. Woman up, Kane. Woman up, Kane. Woman up, Kane.
I remember Big Daddy Kane and Meteor Man. Do you remember that?
I did see that movie like 30 years ago when it came out, which fucked me. I'm that old. Hair.
You had blonde hair. That was fantastic. Oh God, 1993.
Ain't no other
was
man
a
like the
trip.
media man. Yep.
30 years ago, Meteor Man. That's wild.
Ugh.
I'm turning 34 this month.
Oh wow, nice. Happy early birthday, Chad.
I'm just like, wait, you're talking about a thing that happened like, oh, while I was a toddler.
Yeah.
I've
Go back and
never-
watch Meteor Man. See what you missed out on.
Yeah,
It's a time
I'm about
capsule.
to turn 41 in a month. So, yeah.
I'll be 46 this year. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm the middle one here, age-wise.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Middle child. You know,
I'm the meat in the sandwich.
Very nice.
Nice. You like? Don't threaten me with a good time. All right. Then we've gone completely off the rails. Ray is going to sit there. He's going to be sitting there like trying to edit this and going, "What? They were great. They should have ended this 20 minutes ago. And it would have been a great episode. What the fuck are they on now?"
What are they talking about? Milwaukee's best for?
It's like, right. They're talking about Moon Knight, and now they're talking about spit roasts and Milwaukee Beast and Big Daddy King. What the fuck does any of this have to do with Moon Knight?
Meteor Man. It was awesome chatting with both of you guys, though. It was super fun.
Fucking Americans, they ruin everything.
The inmates are running the asylum, Ray.
Oh, it's more like the inmates are running the prison. But,
That's true.
That's fucking seppos.
Anything else you guys want to talk about?
No, but if you want to plug anything...
I think if we keep talking, Ray's never going to invite any of us on the show again.
Yeah, probably.
Awesome. What's your favorite B grade, like non-licensed superhero? Like Blank Man? Is it going to be like, what's his face? Just like all those 90s heroes that came out and went nowhere.
Definitely for me, it would be Mystery Men.
That's a good one.
Do you remember that one with Ben Stiller and William H. Macy? Yeah, that one.
And Jeffrey
Kel Mitchell.
Yes. And Jeannie Garofalo. Yeah, although I think that was based on a actual comic.
I'm not sure.
I think it was.
Okay.
I think the Blue Raja was probably the best part of the Mystery Men.
Yeah.
Yes, loosely based on Bob Burden's Flaming Carrot comics.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That sounds familiar.
Well, yeah. That's definitely B grade, though. That counts as B grade. Yeah. Yeah, I love that movie so much. God, that made me laugh so hard the first time I saw it.
If we're really going like B grade here, you can't talk about, horrible low grade superhero movies without talking about Orgasmo.
Orgasmo.
Okay.
I was thinking you were either going to say that or the Toxic Avenger.
No, you can't. No, I'm not going to shit on Toxic. I'm not shitting on Toxic Avenger. Or Orgasmo.
Orgasmo,
come on.
Yeah.
I am Sancho. Yes, but what do you do? I am Sancho. Are you Sancho? No, you are not Sancho.
You're not Sancho.
Scott Baio is not Sancho. Frank Gifford, he is not Sancho. There are many Toms and Jeffs and Bills in the world, but only I am Sancho. You're hired. We're shooting a scene tonight on the volcano set with the ass fuck twins.
Like,
what do you want, Hung? I'm busy. Oh my God, it's Orgasmo. I'm not Orgasmo. I am Sancho.
I want to watch this again, but I don't want to watch this again. It's been a long time.
The part that killed me was when was it, Tiny walks in, and it's Trey Parker's voice. Oh yeah. Oh God,
You're gonna make me come, or I'm gonna kick your butt. All right, you want me on top? Oh, that's right. They're good. That's right. Give it to me. It feels so good.
I just about
This whole
died
episode
the
is
first
just for
time I saw
patrons,
that.
right? This whole episode is for patrons. That means people are paying money to listen to this shit.
Yes.
Ray is going to lose like $15 in patrons. Like, that's it. Fuck it. I'm out.
Well, he might edit this last 15 minutes off. Who knows?
If he's smart, he'll save it for a blooper reel.
Yes.
Yeah.
The clip show. End of the year clip show.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. If we haven't burned the whole goddamn thing to the ground before then.
It's no longer burning to the ground. It's the elephant foot on the bottom basement floor.
Just a memory of what used to be.
I think my favorite B-grade, like, superhero out there was probably The Mask.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Just because
that was Dark Horse, wasn't he?
Yeah, Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Wait, Dark Horse. Like, sure, there was a comic with him, but it was not the same in the slightest.
Yeah, totally different. Yeah.
I do want to see read the original comics, because I mean the Jim Carrey film is an iconic classic.
Yeah.
And I know even back then I read and heard a lot that it was so drastically different than the source material, but I've never read the source material. So I am very curious to read it and go, wow, okay, they took all of this and they made that movie.
That, yeah. That was a stretch.
Yeah.
So
imagine Loki and Deadpool, but they alter reality.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty much the entirety of it. The Mask was just out to have fun, and it was so graphic.
Fun on a grand scale.
Yeah. But that was, I got into The Mask way back in the day because, the Jim Carrey film came out.
Sure.
Jim Carrey is everyone.
It was a big deal. That movie was a big deal. I remember seeing that in the theater.
Yeah. Introduced the world to Cameron Diaz.
That's right. That was her. Wasn't that her debut?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Smoking.
Smoking.
That was when Jim Carrey could do no wrong.
Yes. He was Hollywood's golden boy for a few years.
Yep.
Yep.
I gotta say though, my favorite installation to things that The Mask did was, in the sequel, although it didn't like it, I loved having Alan Cumming there as Loki.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, just Alan Cumming's a great actor.
Yeah, he was a good.
Oh yeah,
he was a good choice for Loki. Yeah, I loved him as Nightcrawler in the X-Men movies.
Yeah, that was a stretch. It's like you're gonna take Alan Cumming of all people and make him a penitent Catholic. That's okay.
Yeah, and it worked. At least I thought it worked anyway.
I liked Kurt. It was just surprising us all. Any other topics you guys want to talk about?
No, this train is off the rails. Has dumped, toxic materials and has now poisoned the water.
That's right. You're gonna have to evacuate the surrounding areas now.
You have to evacuate within 25 miles of everyone who listens to this podcast. You'll find an infestation of roaches in your home, and all of a sudden every bat within 25 miles is now pregnant. Sheeps are suddenly inverted, being found in fields. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks for turning over the
Ray.
keys.
This has been another edition of Sidekicks Revenge.
We should publicly shame the people that didn't show up today.
Oh, no.
Come on.
Life happens.
Shame.
I'm not going to shame anybody.
Shame.
Oh, yeah, get the bell out.
Shame.
We'll shame them if they walk naked through the street. We'll ring the bell after them.
Does that count as kink shaming at that point?
No, because they might be into that.
Exactly.
I said again, don't threaten me with a good time, man.
That's right.
Well, I guess that's it then. If you guys don't talk about anything else.
Yeah, I think that'll wrap us up. But thank you guys for joining on this special edition of Sidekicks Revenge. And we want to give your plugs as to your respective projects that you're working on.
I'll go first. I'm Anthony from Capes on the Couch. We are a podcast that examines the psychiatric and mental health issues of comic book characters. We're a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, so you can find all of our episodes on our website at capesonthecouch.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Capes on the Couch. And if you didn't manage to completely be turned off by what you heard here tonight, and you go and listen to our shows, and which are very much unlike anything that we do here. It's PG-13 at best. And you like that, you can go over and subscribe at patreon.com/capesonthecouch and unlock early access, additional uncensored material, bloopers, a whole host of other cool stuff.
Nice. Very nice. Chad, anything you're working on right now?
The only stuff I'm working on is my dumbass meme pages again, working with anarcho-communist intent, and well, that doesn't do well on algorithms. So
I'll
pass it off to you.
Well, right now I'm working on 4 different shows. Gamma Charge, the strongest podcast there is. I host with Russell. We talk about everything to do with the Hulk twice a month. We also have a Patreon page, so check that out. We have exclusive bonus episodes every month. And also, we host with Ray, none other than the High Priest of KHONSHU, Ray himself. Russell and I co-host Predator and Prey, a Yautja podcast in which we discuss everything to do with the Predator, films, comics, video games, action figures, and more. And then over at the Collective, I can be found on the Capes and Lunatics Network with Phil, where we co-host Marvel Tales once a week. And once a month, we co-host We Are the Night, the Batman podcast. And that's it for me.
So I have a question about the Yautja podcast. Have you heard of I think it's just like Facebook Reels, or maybe he's on YouTube as well, but he does just the villain tech support.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Most of his stuff is centered around, the Predators trying to take down a villain.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's just
interesting.
He's trying to be tech support for an ill-informed hunter. And it's just like, you're going up against a hero that has like a skull design. Is it a skull on his face? Is it a skull on his chest? Is it flaming? So it's just like tries to help these hunters do their job.
I like that.
But yeah,
what's it
really
called?
Cool concept.
It's I think it's just called like villain tech support.
Villain tech support. Nice. I'll have to check that out, Chad. Yeah.
He's a bald dude. He's always wearing like a headset because that's the costume.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's hilarious.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. Cool. Yeah, well, thanks everybody for listening. Thank you, Loonies, as always, for listening. And I'm sure Ray will have another episode cooked up for you soon. And as always, may KHONSHU watch over the denizens of the night. See everyone.
Bye. Peace.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.